You know, we live in a world that's pretty obsessed with ink, right? Tattoos are almost the default setting now. So what does it mean when you're a blank canvas? It's not about being boring, not at all. It's about being deliberate. And that's what we're going to dive into today. The deep psychology behind the choice to have unmarked skin. I mean, just look at how the script has completely flipped. 50 years ago, getting a tattoo, that made you a rebel, a total outsider. But today, well, ink is everywhere. It's practically the uniform of the modern age. So you have to ask yourself, if everyone is trying to be unique in the exact same way, who's the real rebel now? It might just be the person with bare skin. They're the new counterculture. I'm sure if you don't have tattoos, you've heard it before, right? Why no tattoos? You're afraid of commitment or something? But the truth is, it's so much deeper than that. This choice isn't about a lack of anything. It's a really conscious act. It's deliberate. Okay, so let's get into the first big psychological reason behind this choice. And it all boils down to this idea of a fluid identity. Seriously, it's not about fearing needles. It's about this deep understanding that who you are is always changing. And for a lot of people, that kind of permanence, it feels less like a cool statement and a whole lot more like a trap. So the key concept here is something called evolutionary awareness. And let's be clear, this is not just a fancy way of saying commitment issues. No way. It's this profound recognition that your identity is constantly evolving. I mean, think about it. The music you loved when you were 16, the job you thought was your dream at 20, even the really strong opinions you had just last year. Our passions, our perspectives, they change, right? Evolutionary awareness is just that deep down understanding that the you of today is just one chapter. It's not the whole book. And this question just nails the core logic. Think about it this way. If you don't even agree with the person you were 5 years ago on most things, why in the world would you let that person make a permanent decision for the person you're going to be 5 years from now? A tattoo can feel exactly like that, like trapping one single version of yourself in a cage, forever. Here's a great way to think about it. A tattoo is like a period at the end of a sentence. Bam! It's a definitive statement. It declares that a chapter of your life or a certain belief is finalized, it's done, it's permanently etched. It basically says, this is who I am, full stop. But, on the other hand, bare skin, that's an ellipsis. You know, those 3 little dots that tell you the story isn't over yet. It means your narrative is still unfolding, and there's plenty of room for all the plot twists that are definitely coming your way. And the best part? Your skin will never contradict you if you decide to completely reinvent yourself tomorrow. Okay, so if the whole idea is to protect your fluid internal world, it kind of makes sense you'd want to protect your external self too, right? And that leads us perfectly into our next idea, thinking of your body as a quiet sanctuary, especially in a world that just never, ever stops shouting. Just think about our daily lives. We are absolutely bombarded by visual noise. Ads, logos, phone notifications, it's all just screaming for our attention 24/7. And for some people, especially those who are highly sensitive, all that constant decoration, even if it's really beautiful, can be genuinely exhausting. This brings us to a really cool concept called somatic minimalism. Soma is just a word for body, so this is basically minimalism for your physical self. See, every single visual thing around us is data that our brain has to process, and a tattoo, no matter how gorgeous, becomes part of that constant data stream. So choosing to have unmarked skin is like deliberately creating one space that's totally free from that information overload. In a world of endless noise, your body becomes the one place you can guarantee will always be quiet. All right, so we've talked about the internal philosophy, right? But now let's get into something else, because there's also a fascinating, almost strategic power to being ink-free. In a world that just loves to slap a label on everything and put it in a box, there's a huge advantage to being, unreadable. We live in this culture of signaling, you know? Tattoos often work like these little identity shortcuts. You see a skull, you think tough. You see a flower, you think soft. You see a quote, you think deep. People wear their personalities right on their skin, and it lets everyone else instantly categorize them. They think they know your politics, your music tastes, your whole life story just from a single glance. But you, without those signals, you deny people that easy way out. They can't just glance at your arm and file you away in some neat little mental box. It forces them to actually pause. And that right there, that makes you different. That makes you unreadable. And trust me, that is a powerful place to be. It's like the slide says, in a room full of open books, you're the sealed envelope. People have to actually talk to you. They have to engage with you, listen to you, to figure out who you are. And psychologically speaking, we are absolutely drawn to things we can't immediately figure out. That mystery, it's magnetic. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most profound idea of all. It's what you could call the philosophy of the vessel. This is the view that your body is already perfect and complete, just the way it is. It's a way of thinking that's rooted in a really deep, quiet sense of self-acceptance. I mean, this quote right here really says it all, doesn't it? I am enough without the accessories. It's this quiet, powerful confidence. It's the core belief that you don't need to add ink to your body to be interesting, and you don't need to endure pain to feel alive. You're just comfortable in your own skin. Literally, you respect the original design. So look, if you're the person in the room who kind of feels a little out of place when everyone starts talking about their next tattoo, I want you to take this away from our chat today. You are not boring. You are free. You've reserved the right to change your mind. You've reserved the right to find quiet in a super noisy world. And you've reserved the right to be way more complex than any single drawing could ever capture. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Your blank canvas isn't empty because you have nothing to say. It's blank because you understand that some things are just too complex to be drawn. So I gotta ask you, in a world that is always shouting, what kind of power do you find in being the quiet one?